Okay, continuing with our algebra journey, we are going to be looking at questions with brackets and fractions in this video. So we're going to go straight into it. Now I'm going to solve both of these equations in different ways, and I want you to think about why I've chosen one way for one of the questions and another way for the other question. So let's just get solving first. Now whenever you have brackets, for example in this question here, you might want to expand it first. So this method here, we're just going to expand as our initial method. So 3 times t gives you 3t. 3 times -4 is -12, and that's going to equal 20. Now we can solve this by adding 12 to both sides. So we end up with 3t, and that -12 and +12 is a zero pair, and then you've got 20 plus 12, which is 32. We're then going to divide by 3, so t is equal to 32 over 3. Now you can simplify that if possible, otherwise you just leave it as 32 over 3. You don't need to turn it to a decimal, that is your answer. Now the question on the right, rather than expanding, I'm going to start by dividing. So these are both methods are equally valid, but you'll see why maybe this method on the right for this question might be preferable for that type of question. So I'm now going to divide, just to be clear what a bracket is, there's an invisible multiplication sign in the middle of the 2 and the bracket, so it's 2 lots of t minus 4. So if we divide it by 2, we get 1 lot of t minus 4. We're going to have to do the same on the right hand side. So this becomes t minus 4 equals 20 over 2 is just 10. And then we're going to add 4 to both sides. So that becomes t, that's a zero pair, and then it's equal to 14. Now we've got two different questions here, two different methods. In method 1 is to expand the bracket first and then solve it. Method 2 is to divide and then solve it. And the question is, why does one method suit the equations better than the other? What would happen if I tried to divide with this question here? Well, I'd have to divide by 3, so I'll do this in a different color. If I divide by 3 and then divide by 3, I end up with 20 over 3, which is not a nice fraction to work with, because then I'd have to do 20 over 3 and then add 4 to that. So I'd have to then do some more fractional addition. So in this case, the reason why this method expanding is better is because 3 doesn't go into 20. However, the question on the right, 2 does go into 20, and dividing by 2 both sides really does help simplify it. So this video, just remember what you should take away from it is, if you have brackets, you should consider whether you're dividing or expanding the bracket in each case, which method is going to be easier. Both of these methods are equally valid for both questions. You will still get the same answer. However, it will be a lot harder if you don't choose the right method. So the second thing we're going to look at before you practice is how to solve a question like this. Now you may notice there's something particularly, a small difference, very subtle, but quite important between these two questions. So you can see that in this case, this whole thing is being divided by 2. And in this case, it's just the x that's being divided by 2, and then we're adding 4. So in order to solve these, I'm going to talk about some strategies. For the first question, you may decide to multiply by 2 both sides to get rid of the denominator. And that will give you x plus 4 equals 12, and then take away 4 from both sides. Now, if you tried that here, I'm actually going to do something wrong. And I want you to spot what I've done wrong here. So if I expand this out, I'm going to get x plus 4 equals 12. So did you spot what the mistake is? So hopefully you've spotted when you have brackets, you're going to multiply everything in the bracket by 2. So that 4 should really be an 8. So something just to be aware of. So we can do that. That is now correct. And then we're going to take away 8 from both sides. So x is equal to 12 minus 8, which is 4. So the second way to do the question on the right is, rather than multiplying everything by 2, we could also decide to just take away 4 from both sides. So take away 4, take away 4. So this becomes x over 2 equals 2. And then we're going to multiply both sides by 2. And you still get the same answer, still equally valid, but you may notice this method for this question is a bit better. Okay, so have a go with both of these questions, and then I'm going to go through the answers with you. Okay, pause the video if you need more time. So question on the left, we are going to add 4 to both sides. So this becomes 1 over 2x is equal to 4 plus 3 is 7. And then we're going to multiply everything by 2. So this becomes x equals 14. The question on the right, we are going to do something a bit different here, and you'll see why. We're going to multiply everything by 3 on both sides. So when you multiply this by 3, 1/3 times 3 is just 1, so this becomes 1x. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. Now 2 divided by 3 times 3 is just 2. And we're going to add 24 to both sides. This becomes x equals 24 plus 2 is 26. That is your answer. Now, there are some methods here which we're starting to get into more advanced methods, but nothing particularly scary, nothing that should scare you. We are going to continue on the next video, so I hope that was useful. See you in the next video.